Hello and welcome everybody to a special live edition of the Riverfront Red Show. This is episode number 547, which is just a ludicrous number. And I am here with a couple old pals. My guy, your guy, everybody's guy, the host of Late Night Reds, Tim Daniel, Disney aficionado, Father of the Year nominee. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. It's funny you say that. So I got this on my Disney cruise, my Avengers cup, and it may or may not have bourbon in it.
Hey, you know what? That's why we are going live tonight. We decided that it'd be more fun for us to sit back as friends, have a couple adult beverages, and get some hot takes. And that's what we're doing. We're having the 2024 first annual hottest scorching hot takes episode. And who better to help us do that than the Pop Father himself? Brother Bill Lack. Bill, how are you?
I'm great. 547. That's a crazy number.
It's ludicrous. And I would say outside of Chad, you've probably done the most.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. My question to Chris or to Tim is who is your favorite Avenger?
Ooh, well, does Spider-Man count?
Question.
Because
There you go.
yeah.
I think he
Spider-Man,
does. What's up,
Okay.
Sydney?
Captain America is definitely up there as well, just because I'm a leader by nature, as you know. So,
I'm a Black Widow fan myself for the obvious reasons.
yeah, sure.
No.
I grew up a huge Spider-Man guy.
Yeah.
The comics and
Yeah.
the whole more Spider-Man than the Avengers growing up.
My favorite Avenger is Drunk Thor. Only the drunk version. So I apologize if this is not going out to X/Twitter. We did sign up for the premium account today to make sure that it would, but it's telling me that it's not working. So whatever.
Elon.
Stinking Elon. Yeah, so I guess we don't have a ton to discuss. The Reds, the reason I originally wanted to do this show was because it had just been a lot more lackluster play, and it kind of seemed like the season was going in the direction we're so used to this time of the year, which is our fellas not really in playoff contention. I mean, that still may be the case, though they started a really important 3-game set against the first place Milwaukee Brewers tonight as we are recording this. Going to try to tune into that while we are recording. But they took 3 out of 4 against the Marlins. Now, the Marlins are not trying to win games, it seems like. Players sure are, but the organization, they sold almost everybody. And I think 3 out of 4 was what we should have hoped for.
They tried to give away the last one.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah, they really did. If you just look at the final score, you wouldn't know it. But
And then the Marlins gave it back an extra. They
That's
said, "Well, you
right.
take it."
Thank God for the Ghost Runner.
Yeah.
yeah, right. We'll get to that in a minute. That's one of our hot takes. So the Reds are 5 games back of the last wild card spot. There are some good teams in front of them, and there are some teams that are just playing really well right now, which makes me nervous. The Diamondbacks are hotter than the sun. Having to look up at the Braves, like I liked it when the Braves were one of the top couple wild card teams, but knowing the firepower they have in that offense and Chris Sale being Chris Sale again, I don't feel great about it. But it's baseball. Stranger things have happened. They come out and take 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee, or even better, sweet. It's go time. Like I'm back. If that happens.
I'm with you. That's kind of the only way I'm really fully back in is if they pull off this series. I'm watching obviously for the sake of the shows. I'm watching obviously for the sake of the show my team, and it's a blessing to get to watch Elly De La Cruz play baseball every day. But at this moment, it's kind of just like, all right, this is where we're at, and I'm like, kind of have my other eye on. Oh, Joe Burrow's hitting T. Higgins on deep balls in training camp. This looks nice. So,
And they open tomorrow night.
yep.
Yeah, it's crazy that football season is upon us already. That's wild, and I'm excited, man. Vibes are pretty good.
And obviously, my USA basketball love knows no limits, so I'm very excited about that right now in the gold medal.
Yeah.
Okay,
Bill, did you watch
Tim,
that game?
I have to ask Tim a question about USA basketball.
Sure.
Let's go.
What drug addict said, well, this team's as good as the dream team?
So I will say, I think they could rival the Dream Team in the sense that
Yeah, they'd only get beat by 30.
no. I think
Ooh.
Bird and Magic were on their last legs, for sure on their last legs.
Oh, yeah, if they played them now, they could play them.
But at that point, Bird retired 10 days later. But also, I don't think the Dream Team there's 60 NBA players in this tournament, where in the Dream Teams there was 7 that weren't on USA. But as long as they win gold, I don't care who's on the team. So and who they can beat, and who they can't beat. And
Well,
I
that
feel
game
pretty good
against
about it.
that game against Serbia was ridiculous. That's
That
one
was
of the best
awesome.
basketball games you can see. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
I haven't.
I said it was
tuned
my
in.
second favorite Olympic game besides the 2008 gold medal game against Spain.
Yeah, fair enough. That was. You said like you on Twitter. You're like you'll remember this game for the rest of your life. I don't know if I'll go quite that far, but like I'm so glad I watched it to get that level of play at this point in the season. And Bill, what I'll say is the level of international competition now is so much higher than it was in the Dream Team days.
Because of the Dream Team.
Because of the Dream Team, yeah, 100%. Those guys are so good. Even like Bogdanovich, man, he's a dude. He's a real guy.
He is.
But
You know, Chuck Daly didn't call a timeout through the whole Olympics.
Because he didn't have to. He didn't have they were playing. The best player they played the whole tournament was Tony Kukoc.
Mr. One is was that the Carrie Strug?
I think she was a little
Olympics?
I think she was 92 because she has the SportsCenter commercial. Remember where they're all carrying her around the office?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. One, go ahead and let us know why the 96 women's gymnastics final was so important to you.
Oh,
it was.
Okay,
Oh.
I'm wrong.
I remember seeing Olga Corbett in the 72 Olympics, I believe it was. And I remember the Munich, Summer Olympics with the Israel,
Yeah.
So I go back a little further than you guys do.
Is Olga Corbett the one that they had to like outlaw a few moves because they were too dangerous?
She did things that nobody had ever seen before.
Yeah. Which I feel like Simone Biles is doing now.
I actually kind of cool Olympic story before we get to all the hot takes here. So 96, obviously everyone knows the story. Is Muhammad Ali was the one who carried the flag and lit the, which is like when he carried the torch at the end and started the opening ceremonies. If you go to his museum in Louisville, that torch is actually on display in the museum.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm like being from Kentucky, obviously I have a huge soft spot in my head for Muhammad Ali. So I love kind of getting to go down there and check that out. It's a pretty cool place. So that's a really cool thing.
I've never been there, and I've been to Louisville many times. I need to do that.
It's neat, man.
And I remember Ali Frazier won.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Take a museum break in between distilleries, Bill.
Well, and you also can do the Louisville Bats Museum too, and you're in bar you're in bar heaven down there. So
yeah, literally the Bats Stadium has a brewery in it.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
God bless Kentucky.
My favorite story about going to a Bats game was years ago. My wife and I were there, and they had a beer stand. It was like a kiosk at the time. It was Beers of the World.
Oh yeah.
And it had Stella, and it had Heineken, and it had probably Corona, and it had Hudie Delight.
I don't know what that is.
It's like Epcot gone wrong, is what it is.
All I know is I've only been to Louisville once, and it was for an Alan Jackson concert. And you have your first beverage, and then you walk out for round 2, and all they have is bourbon kiosks. Like I did not need to be smashing my 4th bourbon before Alan Jackson even gets on the stage.
Before you even heard Way Down Chattahoochee, you were already feeling it?
He was down in Chattahoochee.
Before I heard it live.
It's a good ballpark, though. It's a good place to see a ball game. It's a really nice little ballpark, and if you stay downtown, it's walkable.
Yeah, I was thankful. So I've talked about this a bit from coming over here from the previous network. We got to build. Chad kind of started a nice relationship with the Bats, so I got a credential to go work a game down there, and really had a lot of fun.
Can I tell a quick Louisville Bats story?
Please.
Yeah.
When Matt Klinker got called up to AAA, our former spotlight player, Matt Klinker, he called me or sent me a text or something and said, I just got called up. I'm starting Friday night in Louisville. Can you and Linda come down? And I said, absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. So we drive down there and we get there early. And the way they do comp tickets is whenever you show up, they're just going off the top of the pile. So we get our tickets, and they're all behind home plate, and we're like 5 or 6 rows back. We sit down, and Matt's out there warming up, and I look back, and his parents are like 12 rows behind us. And we had met Matt's parents. He's a local guy from out here in Butler County, and we knew his parents fairly well. So Linda and I went and switched seats with his parents so that they had better seats for Matt.
That's really cool.
His first AAA start was at Dragon Stadium.
You're a better man than I. They're gonna laugh at him. Ha ha. That's awesome. All right, so I guess we should probably talk a little bit. Speaking of Louisville, actually, we got very little news of the week, but Tucker Barnhart starting down in Louisville tonight. Welcome back to the organization, Tucker. We're not gonna stop the presses here and act like that's this monumental move, but
another former spotlight player, though.
That's right.
And a very, very nice young man.
Fantastic person. More on him later for sure. He's one of our hot takes, but you can do a heck of a lot worse with organizational depth than having that guy, especially with all of the talented young arms in this system.
Yep.
I would almost like to see Rhett Lauder and Chase Burns get brought up to Chattanooga or Louisville for the rest of the year just to work with Tucker.
Yeah. We met him. We originally met him when he was in Dayton. And he called me Mr. Lack for the longest time, which made me feel even older than I am, But
correct. The Podfather.
Just a really, really nice guy. And, you wish him well. And like you were saying, Nate, having a former Major League Gold Glove winner in your minor league organization, working with your pitchers, you could do a lot worse.
Yeah,
I agree.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
The only other news I guess worth touching on is that Matt McLain is not going to be starting his rehab assignment at the earliest possible date. No surprise after he strained himself once again. At this point, unless the Reds sweep the Brewers, we'll see you in Arizona, buddy.
Yeah.
Go get healthy and calm down. Quit swinging so hard.
Wasn't Ellie fun to watch in Miami, though?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Was it 6 hits over 103 miles an hour, was it?
4+ hits in back-to-back games. 4 hits in back-to-back games. They're the first player ever with like 4 hits and a stolen base and some other crazy stat. He stole that 1 base and never even left the pitcher's hand. How lucky are we that we get the Ellie De La Cruz experience?
And all I tell, whenever anybody says something to me about Ellie when we were out, and we were out the other night, somebody mentioned it to me, and I said, and he's only 22.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead, Tim.
I imagine when they go to Bristol next year, and we're there, by the way, that he's going to be racing an actual car. So I like his chances.
We should talk about that, by the way.
Fastest man in the world.
I don't know any of the NASCAR drivers anymore since I haven't been paying attention since NASCAR 98 for Sony PlayStation 1, but I feel like I like his chances against any of those guys.
I grew up in the heart of Appalachia in the southwestern Virginia, eastern Kentucky area, buddy. And let me tell you, you did not want to grow up a Jeff Gordon fan in the heart of Appalachia. I had to eat crap all the time for that random take of mine. But yeah, the Reds and Braves are playing next August in Bristol, Virginia, at the Bristol Motor Speedway, about an hour from my hometown. We're going to try to make a thing of it. Bill, it would be awesome if you and Linda could join us. We're going to try to head down there. I mean, there's such a nice contingent of Reds fans down in that area. So when I was growing up, you probably heard Chad talk about this, everybody was pretty much a fan of either the Reds or Braves because Ted Turner made it so you could watch all the Braves games. And for whatever reason, in Wise County, Virginia, Ohio, Wise County, Virginia, we got Fox Sports Ohio. We got the Reds games. So I don't know if that's how my grandfather became a Reds fan, and that's how Chad did, and now me, but you've got this weird pocket of Reds love down in the Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee borders, and I think it's an awesome idea. I'm glad that MLB's trying stuff like this, and hopefully we can all go.
Yeah, it's better than like when the NFL sends your team, if you're a season ticket holder, to London. Here the Reds are losing 1 home game, so it's like, oh, I still have 80 more I can go to. I can live with that.
It's the only place they could possibly play that's closer to my hometown than Cincinnati. I love it.
I think it's kind of cool, but I also think it's kind of weird.
It's definitely
Yeah.
weird. But this is the hottest take episode, so let's get weird.
Especially the jumbotron that's at the race center because it's connected by all the wires and like it's like right smack dab in the middle of the infield. So like I don't know what is it possible to hit a fly ball off that? I don't know exactly how high it is, but I'm genuinely curious.
It's like in Dallas Stadium when
Yeah.
they hit it with the punts, you know.
Yeah,
Is it going to be possible to hit a home run to dead center? I don't know. You need to bring Adam Dunn back and find out.
Mr. Wad saying it's Polo Grounds 2.0.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm not sure Dunn hits him any further than Ellie does.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's pretty nuts. All right. We are here for one reason only, and that is for some hot takes. I specifically asked for the hottest takes. Some of them are kind of lukewarm. Other ones are pretty scalding. So let's just go one by one. I have not looked at these other than to copy and paste into a document for all of us to see at the same time. Bill?
Can I give mine first?
Yeah, let's go.
When Lance McAllister turned on the Reds front office after the trade deadline, it's a turning point for the support for the Cincinnati Reds front office in Cincinnati.
Ooh, okay. I don't disagree, but please go on.
It's kind of like, and I don't know you guys, it's kind of like when Walter Cronkite turned on the government and said Vietnam was lost. That's when the anti-war really ramped up. It's the same thing. Lance has always been a huge supporter, or at least given the Reds front office the benefit of every doubt. And when they did nothing at the trade deadline, he went off. And
yeah, he's been going hard in the paint.
And I think it's a turning point for this franchise, for the front office and for this ownership group.
I guess the question is,
will it make any difference?
Yeah, could it lead to any meaningful change? I just don't know. I mean, when we see Bill getting promoted for the quality job he's been doing.
I said that for years about the Brown family too, though.
Yeah,
it took different generations. It took different generations, but it did eventually happen.
So
fair enough.
It's funny that Bill says this because one, I completely agree, and I know a lot of people give Lance a lot of crap, but he's been nothing but awesome to me as a aspiring journalist in the area. Like anytime I asked him a question, he answered me. Actually, gave me one of my favorite shows I've ever done in my life because Lance was in Chicago and Jordan came back in '94, and we did a podcast on it together where he talked about like working in Chicago when the news broke. It's awesome. I got to find it.
That's cool. Yeah.
But I think like Lance has kind of been through this twice now. When he worked in Chicago, he dealt with the Reinsdorfs and the inability they had to do anything with their teams, being the White Sox and the Bulls. And now he's here in Cincinnati, and I think he's probably just tired of it. I think he's like, I've lived through this in 2 towns now. It's time just to like, it's time to really let it out and to get how I feel out there. So I agree with Bill. I think that you're really kind of seeing. I know Lance has a mixed reaction from the Reds faithful, but I feel like this has kind of been a thing that's really kind of opened a lot of people's eyes.
So even when I disagree with him, which is a lot, I respect him because he's a stats-oriented guy. I mean, he just doesn't pull stuff out of the air, I don't think.
Right.
I mean, I think he at least historically, he's bent towards supporting the ownership in the front office in both teams, both of the major teams here. But he's the longest serving sports anchor in this town, as far back as I can remember. It's been on the air longer than anybody can remember. And he's, he says what he thinks, and you got to respect that.
1,000%.
Well, yeah, he spans both eras when, you were a lot more upfront, up close and personal with the players when he first got started. And now it's a little bit different. You don't quite get the access that you used. You're not guaranteed the access that you used to be guaranteed. So you kind of have to walk that line. But it's fun watching him, like you said, agree or disagree, share some unfiltered opinions.
Mm-hmm.
So look for more of that. All right, so that's Bill's hot take. Let's get to one from Kevin Lynch.
My guy.
Kevin is awesome. He's been popping onto the NBA Happy Hour show every now and again. He knows way more about sports than I do, and I'm kind of jealous. Kevin, love you. He says, this could be controversial, and I hope so, because this is the hottest takes episode. He said, my hot take is there is no good reason to be a Cincinnati Reds fan if you are under 40 years old. They haven't won a playoff series in 28, about to be 29 years. They've only had 4 playoff appearances in that time. There's no solid reasoning for hope that the streak will be broken anytime soon. If you want to root for a winning team, the worst team you can root for in all of pro sports is the Cincinnati Reds. Woo! I don't know how controversial it is, but it's definitely hot. I mean, I need to take another sip of this delicious Mighty Swell watermelon mint spiked seltzer to cool down.
My question for Kevin would be, why qualify about under 40 years old? I'm 66, and I can't figure out a good reason why I cover this team. You know why? That's the only problem I got with Kevin's take is he's trying to exclude us old people,
ageist,
and we're just as disgusted as you young pups.
That's true, but I guess like your fanhood makes perfect sense, right? You got to see the all-time greats. You got to see the Big Red Machine, but. You know, Chad and you and Chad and Chris talk about it a lot. The lost generation of Reds fans. Sydney's here in the chat. Sydney was on the lost generation of Reds fans episode. They've seen zero success.
Yeah,
they got to see a wasted effort with a future Hall of Famer in Joey Votto. They got to see a super fun 2010 team that got no hit in the playoffs and then swept. Still the most fun I've ever had as a Reds fan. It was watching them lose the series-ending game in Cincinnati. The next 2012 and 13 weren't exactly super fun. If you guys remember, it's been brutal, and I think Kevin has a great point. Now, we're masochists, and I think the fact that a World Series championship for the Reds is going to feel a lot better than it would for the Yankees or Dodgers fans. Like, it's going to mean more to us. Is what keeps us coming back. And yeah, that's
if
all
I'm
I got.
alive,
Mr. Juan,
if I'm alive to see it.
Yeah.
Bill, you and I are going to be down in Key West.
Yeah. I mean, I am under 40, so I can attest that. Like, yeah, people my age that root for the Reds is because it was passed down from our families. My dad, diehard Reds fan. I wrote about it on Chad's website last year on his newsletter. One of my favorite things I've ever written in my life, and talked about like my dad told me the stories of the Big Red Machine like they were all Paul Bunyan. Like he literally treated me like the way that he explained it to me was like they were folktale, they were legend, they were all Bo Jackson. And so for me, like hearing those stories growing up was what made me a Reds fan. And of course, I had Larkin. Deion Sanders is one of my favorite athletes of all time. So seeing him play 2 sports when you're under the age of 10 was the coolest thing of all time. And then yeah. You know, my young adult days are the Votto era. The 2012 team, Nate, I think it's the only team I'd put above the 2010 team for funness because they were never out of games and really should have won their series.
That's when I was living overseas and I was a box score fan. That stinks. I wish I could watch that team all the time.
Yeah, I had season tickets for that team. It was awesome.
I guess like I would challenge someone to find a person out there that became a Reds fan on their own with no outside influence, like no familial or friendship influence from like what 2000 to 2022. I would say until Ellie burst on the scene.
Yeah, that's changing. I can say because when I was at Disney, there were so many kids walking around wearing Ellie De La Cruz jerseys.
Yeah,
Ellie's
the game changer.
It like shocked me a bit because I'm so used to seeing like if you see a baseball jersey, it's Yankee, a Dodger, a Marlin, just because of where you are in the country. But seeing kids running around Magic Kingdom wearing Ellie De La Cruz City Connect jerseys was a sense of pride.
It's a perfect fit. I mean, the TikTok generation, they want things in a minute or less. And Ellie can do literally anything on God's green earth in a minute or less.
Yeah.
You can do your taxes in a minute or less. You can wash your car. The guy can do anything. He's the fastest guy in the world. Everything he does is fast. It's perfect for a new generation of sports fan that gets their content in snippets more than live games. And
Yeah.
I agree, Sydney. It also makes me so happy. So, yeah, Kevin, that's a good one. We're hoping the LA changes that. We hope there's some success soon. But, man, there are plenty of times when I am cursing Chad a blue streak for making me a Reds fan. All right, next up, Brandon Kamek. The Ghost Runner rule is dumb. That's not a hot take. My hot take instead.
No, it's not.
He said, my hot take instead, call it a tie after 10 innings in the regular season if you don't have a winner. 162 games is plenty sample size. Why are we putting more stress on the pitching? All right, Bill, you're the old man yelling at clouds in this.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
So
Homer
let's go.
Simpson's dad and
You
the
go first. Brandon, that is properly hot. I appreciate this.
I do agree with it. It's a dumb rule. It's the dumbest rule, second only to you can only throw over to first base twice. But
that's pretty dumb.
The idea of tie games in baseball, no, ever, never. And why? I also don't understand well, I guess I understand it because there's more money invested. But this why put more stress on pitching? That's what you got AAA for. That's why your bullpen is a circular rotation between AAA and the major leagues.
I'm gonna side with Brandon on this one. I don't know the 10 inningness of it. Maybe it's 11 innings, but the percentage of major league games that go more than 11 innings is got to be less than 1. It's got to be an incredibly small percentage. I do love the fact that baseball is the perfect sport because there is no kneeling or running out the clock. You literally have to put your best against their best until the game's over. But Brandon's right. With all the injuries that we're seeing in pitching these days, the max effort guys, that's just what everybody's doing. Why not just have a tie after the 11th inning?
Yeah, but if you say there's only 2% of the games go further than that, you're going to make a rule for 2% of the time.
Well, they did for the Ghost Runner.
Well, yeah, and it's a dumb rule. At least that we all agree.
We all agree on that. We all agree.
Yeah.
You know what? The first year of the Ghost Runner, I had so much fun with my random local baseball friends because I was in love with the Ghost Runner because that year the Reds had something like a 17-5 record in extra inning games. So I just pretended that I love the Ghost Runner. No, it's garbage. It should be abolished. Brandon, I'm with you. I think ties would be fine. If we tie in football with 17 games a season, we can tie in the 162 game. All right, Kyle Kapler, recent addition to the Slack channel,
Welcome.
which blew my mind because he's one of my favorite Twitter follows. It's not a happy follow. He is feeling about the Reds the way most of us are. But every time the Reds win, he posts a Reds will soar photo that makes me laugh about 67 to 74 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kyle says, was extending Hunter the best move Crawl has ever done?
Yes.
Unequivocally, yes.
I don't know what rivals it. Yeah.
No, Hunter Green is simply absurd. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we were worried about him.
No. Your brother was worried about him. He was selling on Hunter Green when we had an episode about this earlier this year, and your brother was selling on Hunter Green. I was not.
Well, you were right because now he's sitting pretty at a 2.9 ERA, 147 ERA plus. He's a certified ace, a 1.034 WHIP, by the way.
Chad wanted to sell Hunter Green stock, but watches Georgetown basketball every year.
Yeah,
You think after what Chad did to Hunter Green years ago, he would buy all the stuff he could and try to make amends. But Kyle, go ahead.
Here's a Hunter Green question. There's been a lot of mention, Cy Young mention. Is he realistically a Cy Young shot?
I think if the Reds were better, I'd probably put him in the top 4. If they were first place, 5 games above 500, I think I would be having taking this conversation far more serious.
I mean, his numbers have him competing with anybody.
Yeah.
So I don't know if y'all listen to the Talking Baseball podcast at all, but every month they do a thing. It's called the All JM Jumbo Media Team, and to be the positional representative of the team, it's based on how you have done up to that point in the season. It's not the best guy in July. It's the guy who's played the best from April through July. Hunter Green was second in the NL behind Chris Sale for their choice. And it was like a serious conversation. Chris Sale's been otherworldly, but I think if Hunter can string together, even a stretch half as good as what he just did, I think he's in serious contention for it. Now, some of this is because Paul Skeens hasn't been up long enough to qualify yet.
If he
It's
gets to
crazy
start
that-
young, I'm going to be pissed.
There's a couple months in the season left, but yeah, that'd be a tough look.
I actually kind of want it because soon the Pirates won't be able to afford him.
That's true. Maybe they'll trade him because the arbitration salary is too high.
And they're bum losers. So
I feel less hateful towards the Pirates after having Anthony DiNardo on this podcast once.
Not I.
Who was an awesome guest. But Josh Beckley coming in the chat with a hot take. Ellie
This is
needs to
my
pull
guy.
a Pedro, call the Brewers his daddy to break the curse.
I like it.
Yeah, that's it. Because something needs to happen because the Reds are now down 3-0 in the top of the second inning.
Oof.
Absolutely, Ellie needs to make the Brewers his daddy. Kyle, that's a great one. But yes, I would say the only thing that has a chance to potentially rival it, maybe, is the Tyler Mahle trade for CES and Spencer Steer. So stay tuned on that one. All right, Joey Gaditza. His hot take is that the Reds will sign both Walker Buehler and Tyler O'Neill to 3-year deals. I'm going to assume he means this offseason. Let's pull up some stats real quick. Let's see if we want these guys.
Tyler O'Neill's pretty good.
Tyler O'Neill is really good.
Tyler O'Neill would look good in the uniform, too. We know he looks good in red and white because he made it look good for that terrible piece of garbage franchise.
Mm-hmm. And I think is he with Boston still? Did they trade him?
Yeah, still with Boston. He's sitting at a tidy 900 OPS on the season.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's all. He's been awesome. I have not heard anything from Walker Buehler.
I think he
Has
got
he
hurt.
pitched this year? Has he pitched at all this year?
I think he's yeah,
but it wasn't good.
I remember hearing that he came back, and then he
It had
has 37 innings pitched, a 5.84 ERA, a negative 0.7 ERA. I'll tell you what, if his rough take this season is what leads to him signing to pitch half his games at Great American Ballpark, bring it on, buddy.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched since June the 18th.
Yeah, not great. Well, Joey, I love it. I love it. The Reds are going to go make moves this offseason. That's what we hoped they would do last offseason. They made some moves, but they were questionable at best, and very much so in hindsight. Yeah, Tyler O'Neill solves a lot of problems.
Agreed.
All right, I love it, Joey. Let's get moving on. Rex Scott, this is a good one. He says, Joey Votto will return to the Reds next year as the second player manager in our history. Also,
is that
actually,
true? I don't think that's true. I think there was a player manager way back.
how about in the modern era?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay.
I love it, Rex. I'd be so fired up if
Same.
Joey would sign up for that. Based on some of our intel, I don't think he has the rosy opinions of the Reds that we try to force upon ourselves based on some of the way things ended up. But hey, we're here for hot takes, not realistic takes. So pump it into my veins. Joey comes back. Why wait till next year? Let's figure out a way to make it happen this year. I'll Pete Rose.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
I know the trade deadline's come and gone, but if
Waiver
you request
waiver
from the
deadline
Toronto
is not, though.
organization, yeah, they
Waiver
can
deadline is
find a
not.
way.
Yeah.
Rex had a second part. He said also the first player manager in the modern era will make it into the Hall of Fame before the end of this decade.
No.
Not sure of his path, and I still consider him a lying, scummy POS. That does not stand for point of sale. But his accomplishments on the field warrant his selection, and that will happen as he nears the end of his wretched life. Rex, I love it. Took the politician hat off for just a moment. Let's put it this way. Tim, start with you. Do you think Pete Rose ever makes the Hall of Fame, much less by the end of this decade?
Nope, I don't. I just think that it's the whole argument about for people well, if these guys get in, he should get in. I hate that. I hate it because every time someone gets inducted, we hear it. And I understand Bill's from the generation of Pete Rose being Paul Bunyan, like I mentioned earlier. So those people are going to hold Pete Rose near and dear to their heart for who he was for their growing up and watching that team win championships. But no, he's just, at some point you look at the stuff off the field, and that does matter as far as integrity for the game. And, in the sense of like the Bonds and McGuires everyone always uses, like those dudes saved baseball from that strike. Pete Rose did not save baseball and bring it back to life. He just made it a very big black eye.
All right. You could also consider that a hot take. I love it. Bill, in response, I'm moderating this Pete Rose debate. Let's go.
I'm not sure I think he will eventually. I'm not sure it'll be while he's alive. I think he should be in by now, based strictly on his playing career, and with an asterisk as to all the other stuff. There's no, I never read the Dowd report, but I've lived through having to hear every newsprint article about it. I never heard anything about him betting on baseball when he was a player.
That's true.
And to me, they're two separate careers. And I would have no problem with, and I don't think he should ever be allowed to be affiliated with a ball club again. It's amazing to me that the fact that the Major League Baseball have no problem trotting him out when it benefits them. And they've done that multiple times, as the Reds have. Even though I think the Reds would welcome him back with open arms if they were allowed
I think
to.
So too.
But just a quick Pete Rose story. I was at the game when he came back to manage. I was at that game on August
that had to be
17th. I've never heard the ballpark that loud.
Yeah,
Never
that had
heard
to be
the ballpark
special.
that loud. When he hit that ball and it went by Didier in center field, and he rounded second base and headed for third and went head first into third base, I thought that place was going to come apart. But and I'm not excusing anything Pete Rose did with gambling or all that other stuff, and I knew him a little bit when I was younger. He lived in an apartment complex with my grandparents. I've told this story a million times, but I'm just talking about Pete Rose as a player. He was the guy that I emulated when I played ball, because I didn't have any talent either.
But you were a great gambler.
No, I'm not that either. But I do think eventually he'll get in, and I hope it's before he's gone. I'm tired of seeing guys get put into the Hall of Fame after they're gone. We saw it with Kenny Riley for the Bengals last year, and I'm afraid it's going to happen with Kenny Anderson.
Dude, that's a whole podcast for another day.
Yeah, but I think I think he will get in. I don't know if it'll be in the end of the decade. I hope so, but he didn't do anything to help himself, and even today he doesn't do anything to help himself. I think he thinks he is. I haven't watched the whole HBO series.
I haven't either.
Documentary. I watched the first episode, and then I got hooked on the Olympics, and I haven't gone back to it yet. But I think when he thinks he's being funny, he doesn't realize that he's just really making himself look bad.
Yeah,
that's one of the two things I was going to add, is that I think he would already be in the Hall of Fame if he was just more genuine in his remorse. Like, he has done a terrible job of convincing the people, and most importantly Major League Baseball, that he's actually feels bad about what he did. On top of that, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think that everybody that is a Hall of Famer gets a plaque. Just make the poop emoji. Like, you don't get a bust of your face. There's just a picture of a turd, and it says, "This is Pete Rose, and this is why he's a turd," and not his face.
Yeah, if he was in the NFL, he'd have a plaque.
That's it. All right, so we got one from Sydney Price. Our girl Sid also here in the chat. She says, the Reds' best shortstop. This is hot. Let's go. The Reds' best shortstop and pitcher are not currently on the active roster. Woo! That's not considering they have arguably the best shortstop and pitcher in the National League on the active roster. So the fun here is, who could they be talking about? Shortstop, the obvious choice would be, I guess, Edwin Arroyo.
I would.
Yeah.
Well, she's
My
in the
goodness.
chat. So Sydney, tell us who the hell you're talking about.
Right? Yeah. We're genuinely curious now.
My
I hope she's right,
Yeah.
because that'd be great.
Right. For
yeah, that'd be
sure.
great news. As far as the pitcher goes, it would have to be either Rhett Lauder or I think more likely it would be Chase Burns. So I think he profiles as a more top of the rotation if he hits this 99% like projections. But Sammy Stafura and
Whoa.
Rhett Lauder. Sydney.
Wow.
The hot take got hotter. Listen,
I
climate change is real.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
showing
coming
my
out of
ignorance
Ohio.
here. I don't even know who Sammy Stafura is.
he was a comp second rounder from last year. He's in Daytona right now. He's good. Like he's good.
He's
Yeah,
But he's
very,
not.
very
low A. I'm sorry.
Hey.
Sydney, I hope you're right.
This isn't a cold takes episode. Sydney came in hot. Mr. Juan going with the Shung Un Lean. Lean. I apologize, Mr. Juan. You've gotten on to me in the past about this. Yeah, Sammy Stafura's good.
He's good.
He's a dude. He's like younger than the average player at his level and by far outperforming most people at that level. So
yeah,
super
straight
hot
out of high
take.
school.
Love it, Sydney. All right, Andrew Williams. I'm so scared to do this one because I know I'm going to end up getting hurt. The Reds will give Ellie an extension. They better do it soon, but someone behind the scenes will figure that his marketability as one of the faces of MLB will pay dividends, and that is the best decision financially as well as on the field. He did provide an update and said, I just listened to today's episode of Locked On Reds, friends of the show, and now I do not have an ounce of faith in my hot take. I didn't get a chance to listen to the episode of Locked On. So, Tim, do you know what he's referencing?
I don't, but I've had
Crap,
plenty
the
of
Reds are losing
conversations.
6-0. What is happening?
I didn't listen to the episode yet, but I talk to Jeff and Steve on a regular basis, so I know their opinions. They're in the opinion that the Reds will never do another Joey Votto type contract again, because then you kind of can't really do a whole lot else. And that was what kind of conversation is. Though I completely disagree, because Joey Votto was far worth his contract and then some. But so I'll have to listen to hear what they had to say. But I think that they will at least do something through his arbitration years, like they did for Hunter. But do I think he's going to get some $330 million contract from the front office? I will believe it when I see it.
Bill?
I don't think they'll assign him to even an extension through his arbitration years. I don't think he'll do it. I don't think the Reds don't want to do it. I don't think he'll do it.
I think that's a fair stance. I think it's organizational malpractice if they don't offer him a massive, massive FU money type of deal and make him say no. The Braves did it with Ronald Acuna. And as soon as he signed, his buddy Ozzie Albies called him up and said, hey, that's my bro over there. I want to play the same team as he does for a long time. Let's make something happen. So it's not – everybody always says, oh, he's a Scott Boras client. He'll never do it. Scott Boras won't allow him to do it. It's not how it works. If Ellie says, yes, I'm signing this, then he's signing this. Yeah. So also, the Reds need to make him an offer, and then he can make an educated decision of whether or not he wants to sign it. But in the meantime, we've got him for 5 more years, so enjoy the stinking ride.
Yeah.
Tim?
Well, I was going to say, when people keep bringing that up, Nick Castellanos was also Scott Boras' client and also had a lot of interest in staying with the Reds before he went to the Phillies, and the Reds just kind of went in a different direction. So I'm not really worried about who the agent is by any means. I know people like to bring that up a lot, but I don't know if they've really painted them in a good picture with him either. So, yeah.
So yeah, and I kind of see it the other way. These players hire the agents for their expertise and their knowledge. So and I'm not saying that they couldn't give him enough money that he could tell his agent, you're just looking at your commission at this point. I'm looking at, generational, as Chad says all the generational changing money,
Well, that's the thing. Elliott's making his endorsement money now, sure. But he signed for what? 60-something grand?
Yeah. I think
Like,
his
it
major league
wasn't-
salary this year
it
is like
wasn't much.
550,000.
And he comes from the Dominican Republic, which isn't exactly the wealthiest nation on the planet. You give him an offer that says, hey, your entire family and your grandkids are
And
set
they're-
up,
And their grandkids.
forever. And then you make him make a choice. If he wants to bet on himself, good for him. I can't fault him for that.
Same.
All right, next up, Hunter
I
Martin.
hope Andrew's right.
I do too. Hope he signs something exactly like Hunter, arbitration plus.
At
right.
least.
Our guy Hunter Martin says this might be kind of a mild take, but the Reds front office punted on this season once the injuries/suspensions started piling up. Espinal is the only player acquired that filled in for an injured player in any meaningful way. Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take at all, man. It's a take that I hate that you have to have, because it's true. The injuries piled up mostly before the season started.
Yeah.
And we got Santiago Espinal, his, massive heater that he's on right now aside. That's what's been so frustrating about this season. Yes, you can't plan for injuries, but when you have them, when you have advanced warning of them, you can try to do something, anything. And they did nothing. That's why we're so annoyed around here. Bill, any thoughts?
I would say they kicked kicked the can down the road before the season started. They went through the whole offseason and didn't make any moves. They made, we thought they made the team better, but they made no impact signings. They made no impact trades. We didn't make anybody thought that this was going to be a substantially better team than it was last year. So they just continued the same plan from the beginning of the season, or from the off season into the season.
Yeah, it was. Everybody told us whenever we were complaining loud as can be about the deadline last year, it's not about 2023. It's not about 2023. This is the off season. If they don't make any moves, then we're going to be furious. And then they made a couple moves. I like the moves they made in a vacuum. They were confusing, but I didn't think they made the team worse. I thought they made the team better. Hindsight again being 2020. But if they don't do it this offseason, then we riot. We might need to take out another billboard. We might need to try to do like a sit out where everybody we don't buy tickets to the games, but you get 40,000 people and we all just go hang out by the riverbanks. Or the Holy Grail.
Twist my arm.
The Grail'd like that.
Yeah, they'd be fans.
Shouts to the Grail. Yes, Josh Beckley, 100%. They still need a big bat. Hoping that it comes from within is a nonsense strategy that we saw how it worked out this year.
Yeah.
Go get the guy.
When Jeff
O'Neill could be that big bat.
Yeah. When
be that big bat.
When Jeff filled in for me when I was on vacation, he literally said, what Chad says all the time, hope is not a strategy.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that's all we got. All right, next one comes from Eric Market. A very hot take here. Phil will allow Nick Krall to open the checkbook and sign Elliott to a contract extension that buys those arbitration years and a couple years after, similar to Hunter. Also, Hunter will win a Cy Young in the next 2 seasons. So we touched on the first half of that a couple minutes ago, but Hunter winning a Cy Young in one of the next 2 seasons, listen, not shocking at all. Right now, I think you can make a strong argument that the top 2 vote getters would be Chris Sale and Hunter Green. Who do you have more confidence is going to be pitching at their peak level in 2025? The aging vet or the young phenom who's finally touching his potential?
They'll find a way to get it to Paul Skeens. They'll find a way.
Well, the Paul Skeens might just take it. Let's
as
much as you hate Pittsburgh, Tim, as a baseball fan, Paul Skeens is pretty incredible.
He's dope for sure. Like, he's awesome, but I can't ever give him his flowers because of the uniform he wears.
I do want to clarify something here that Eric in his first point though, and nobody's talking about this. And yeah, Phil got the promotion because Daddy gave him a bigger office, But if you read that press release, Bob still is making final decisions on everything. Nothing has changed.
Which is just crazy. I mean, listen, between our candidates for president, well, at least until recently,
Let's
why
not
are
even
we
go there.
why are we letting the 80-plus-year-olds make all the decisions in their life? Why is my happiness directly tied to the decisions of people that make the Podfather look like a spring chicken? All right, Joe Farfsing. Joe Farfsing. Joe, if you're listening to this, come hop on. Join us. Hottest of hot takes. Ooh, Votto will come up for Toronto and hit for a robust 74 OPS plus. How dare you? The rest of the season. He'll sign a one-day deal with the Reds in the winter and retire in a Cincinnati uniform.
I'm just disqualifying this because it's Joe.
Joe is a known Joey Votto hater.
Yeah.
I should qualify that. He's a 2023 beyond Joey Votto hater. Maybe you can consider him a realist if you want to, but we're not dealing with the facts here, Joe. We love Joey.
He also thinks Gold Star's better than Skyline. All right. Let's just kind of throw that out there.
Pump your brakes.
Thank you, Sydney.
I love it. Hot take Bill is a spring chicken.
I'm a fermented chicken.
Based on what we know, let's assume that for whatever reason, just for the sake of this conversation, that Joey retires in the offseason. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope he comes up and he's awesome and he plays for the next 10 years. Do you think – I'm sure he wears a Reds cap when he goes into the hall, but do you see him doing the ceremonial come back, sign a one-day contract, and retire as a Red, or do you see him just kind of drifting off?
Reds have never done that, I don't think.
No. The Bengals just recently did it for the first time. So
who did they do it with?
AJ Green.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
Who are the Reds players that would have been eligible for something like that? I mean, Barry's the last Hall of Famer for a long time.
He was here his whole career.
He was here.
Yeah.
Joe retired a Red.
George Foster, maybe.
George Foster. Tony?
Joe Morgan.
Tony Perez?
I'm not sure. Did Tony retire from here? He had left and came back. You know, he got traded in 77 and he came back twice.
Yeah, he might have still been here.
Let me pull up my wonderful friend at Baseball Reference.
Gosh almighty, the Reds are getting crushed.
He did.
I hate
86 was his last year with the Reds.
Yeah.
Sydney says Homer Bailey. I'm not sure why Sydney thinks Homer is a Hall of Famer, but I love the optimism.
I will tell you for a fact, I have heard from many people, Homer Bailey has no interest in visiting Cincinnati ever again.
I was going to say, I'm not even sure Homer Bailey's a Cincinnati Hall of Famer.
Two things. First off, he should be. 2 no-hitters should be automatic inclusion. What's the deal with the beef? Like, I feel like all this happened while I was gone, while I was abroad, and I missed it. So what's the deal with the Hunter beef? Can you maybe give me like a explain like I'm 5?
Marty Brenneman turned the fan base against someone else, and he got a big contract and got injured a lot after the contract, so therefore the big contract is his fault.
Man, I have such a love-hate with Marty. I think he's the second best play-by-play guy in the history of baseball. I think it's Vin Scully and then Marty, which is a pretty incredible list if you think about it. Yeah, I spent my favorite season as a Reds fan was 2010 because I was either I tuned into like 140 of the games either by TV or radio. It was so much fun. But Marty was mean to me a couple times on Twitter.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
for no reason.
Yeah,
for no reason.
He came out. He went out and found you. It wasn't like he was tagged in something. Like,
he doesn't follow me. I didn't tag him. I just said something about wanting Joey Votto in the clubhouse, and he told me I don't know shit or something like that. I was like,
let you know how much he was holding back those last few years.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I just responded like, Marty, bro, like, what did I do, man? You're like, you're one of the goats.
Yeah, he did stuff, so I guess he wasn't too mad at you.
I mean, and he was instrumental in running Adam Dunn out of town.
Yeah, he was.
100% he was. But Adam Dunn was such a good sport that he still did the banana phone. Love that, which Seth asked him about. He also wrote the foreword to Chad and Chris's book, The Big 50. Like, such a hot and cold. We need to get Marty on here for a hot takes episode. Shouts to Seth Shaner
Yeah,
for
that'll happen.
I will send him a bottle of Woodford Reserve for that one.
Seth, host of the Red Leg Roundtable podcast here in the Riverfront. His
Yeah, really
conversation
fun
with
episode
Marty
coming up.
was so good. It was so much
It
fun
was.
to listen to that, and you immediately remember why you love Marty so much. His ability to recall the history of this game is unparalleled. And yes, Seth just recently recorded one with Bill. You'll love this, young Bip Roberts.
Ah,
Yeah, he's gonna be on the Tuesday that comes out.
Coming out soon. So love that. But yeah, Brian, you are correct. Marty through about 2000 was great. Adam Dunn, I think, just it was like a drug gone bad for Marty. Adam Dunn happened and he was never the same. Turned him into a hater.
well, I think Marty struggled, and I did to a certain extent, to stay up with the way baseball was changing. And Adam Dunn had certain things that he was really, really, really good at, and certain things that he was really, really, really bad at. And Marty had to concentrate on those things that he was bad at, and not the things that he was phenomenal at.
Like double
Wouldn't you like to
fisting
have? Wouldn't you
cocktails.
like to have? Wouldn't this team be better right now with a prime Adam Dunn in the middle of that lineup?
Hell yeah, it would.
Every team in
Oh,
Major
yeah.
League
I
history would be
don't care how many times he strikes out.
a monument.
And even if you had to play him in
Yeah.
the field, you'd be better off.
True that.
Adam Dunn. I want to get Adam Dunn on this podcast, but I feel like I couldn't be objective. He would have no fun. He'd be like, "Who's this
Neither.
weird guy? Who's this weird guy fawning over me?" This adult.
I've
just
always-
making
I've
me-
always
making me
said-
uncomfortable.
I've always said I would like to do an interview with Pete Rose and tell him beforehand we wouldn't talk about gambling or anything. We'd just talk about baseball and his career as a player with the Reds.
Well, I'll
and-
tell you what, you'd have a darn good time.
Yeah, you make that happen, I'll produce it for sure.
I've reached out a number of times and I've never gotten any kind of response.
Well, we'll start
I've
hanging
also
out.
reached
at,
I've also reached
Double-
out to Johnny Bench too and never gotten a response.
That'd be a lot of fun too. All right, next question from Hooper Powell, or next hot take, I should say. I like this one. Tucker Barnhart will be the next manager for the Reds. I don't know.
Sure.
Does he want the job? Would he be good at? He seems like the kind of guy that would be good at it. But we're here
He
for hot
looks
takes. That's probably
As you
like,
reach, like, is he the human Jake Taylor at this point from Major League?
slightly less crass.
Yeah.
And better knees.
Yeah.
But you might be onto something. He and his family seem to really, really love Cincinnati.
Well,
I mean,
he grew up fairly close, just in north Indianapolis.
Yeah, he's a diehard Pacers fan. Diehard.
Yeah,
Nobody's perfect.
I know.
Yeah, I like that one.
I got a question.
As a manager,
I got a
but I think,
question.
go ahead.
I'm
Bill.
sorry, Nate. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say the hottest part of that take is that they would buy out David Bell's
Right.
contract before it's.
That's what I was just going to ask. Are we convinced? Are any of us convinced that David Bell will be gone?
No.
In the offseason?
Not at all,
Would it surprise you if he was?
Brian. It would
Yeah.
blow my mind if they
Yes,
fired
it
David
would.
Bell. They said put
They
some respect
should.
on Corky Miller's name.
Really? It would not. I won't say it wouldn't surprise me, but I wouldn't be flabbergasted because I think they're going to need to put the heat on somebody for this team not winning this year. They need a scapegoat.
They'd have to pay him out.
Yeah, but it isn't much. It's manager money.
Yeah.
I think it's far more likely that they would promote him to a
Wow.
front office role.
Okay. I'm talking
Then-
about
then they're gonna find
I'm
out.
saying, will he be in the dugout next year on opening day?
I think he will.
If I had to put money on it, I would say yes, but I hope not.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I agree with you both, but I would not be flabbergasted if he was not, if it went to somebody else. And I have no idea who.
Well, let's pop over to James Urban's first hot take. His other one is not baseball related, but we're going to do both, baby. He says David Bell should not be an MLB manager. He's just benefiting from an ownership group that is clearly okay with not being great. I would say he's more benefiting from a familial relationship with
Yeah.
ownership. That's why I don't think he gets fired. I mean, they're bros. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. If I was Bob Castellini and Tim was my manager, we'd go out for cocktails and we'd figure out a different solution. But I wouldn't straight up fire him as the scapegoat. Tim, you're welcome. You're welcome. Oh, thanks, man.
I appreciate that, buddy. Yeah, I do. I just always go back to Ben's rant on our show a couple weeks ago when he talked about David Bell.
So good.
And it just, every point he made, I didn't have to do an episode anymore. I think that was 9 minutes into the show, and I was like, all right, we're done. Like, he had everything we had to say about David Bell, and nothing's changed in those 3 weeks. It's still the same song and dance.
Yeah, he has now been ejected more than any Reds manager ever.
Does that
Which just
mean
annoys
anything?
me.
Does he get a flag?
It annoys me. You should not get bonus points for doing your job less than your peers.
Well, and the other thing is Sparky was a manager that he just passed Sparky. Sparky was the manager of this team for what, 7, 8 years?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a dubious distinction here, you know?
Yeah. It's his way of trying to pretend he cares. Even though he did say in his post-game presser after the last game, I felt like it was important. What about the other 115 games we played so far?
Well,
moron.
And I've said this before. The thing that bothers me, I think, is some of these promos that you see from the players.
Oh, yeah.
Where they say, oh, he's a good guy and he never yells at you and he blah, blah, blah. Well, then to me, he's not doing his job. You know, when you screw up, somebody ought to be in your ass.
Yeah, I don't need another. I mean, we don't need a baseball Bobby Knight, but we do need someone we don't need Marvin Lewis again. We definitely need like a step up from Marvin Lewis for sure.
Right. I don't want a guy that's a player's manager. I don't think that's effective.
You can be a player's manager. I don't care if you are or not, if you're winning games. But if you're a player's manager and your players are horrible at the fundamentals of the game of baseball,
right?
There's a problem.
Year after year after year.
Right. Like Terry Francona is kind of been considered a player's manager for his success in Boston and Cleveland. But dude, he went to 3 World Series as a manager? Like, he did all right for himself.
Yeah, you can be a player's manager and still be a good coach.
Well, the other thing is, and we've said this in the past too, is the effect of a manager is highly debatable.
Right.
In the long term. Because Joe Torre didn't become a great manager when he got to the Yankees. He's the same manager he was when we had bad teams in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, and Sparky said that all the time. He wasn't a great manager, but he had Bench and Rose and Perez and Morgan and Foster. It makes you a lot better manager. But I do agree, that the fund and that drives me crazy when they make the same fundamental mistakes again and again and again and again and again. And my other hot take I was going to give earlier is the Reds are going to lose all 3 of these games this weekend.
Yep, it's off to a good start, Bill.
The race will be over.
I'm not sure how hot that take is, but it's
definitely not good vibes only.
Pat, I also agree that Tito's is not a bad idea. I'm on a tequila kick right now that I'm down in Texas, but
have you? Yeah, you haven't said anything in your podcast yet about your Buc-ee's experience.
Oh man. So I did go to Buc-ee's for the first time, and it was not the last time.
Really?
It is as incredible as advertised.
It's so great.
It helps
it's a big truck stop with a lot of gas pumps.
Talk dirty to me, Bill. That sounds awesome. It's a large truck stop with fantastic barbecue, great snacks, and top-notch people watching.
Buc-ee's is great.
And really clean bathrooms.
Tim is the Sheets guy.
I'm loyal to the Sheets.
Hashtag Team Wawa over here.
We're getting one in the area.
You're going to love it. Welcome to Bliss. Hunter, it's true. Sydney is drinking some Fireball. The chat is going off. I love it.
What else you got doing on Friday night?
I got some high noons.
Ooh.
Waiting on me. I stocked up, man. So it's tough out here in Texas. All right.
Why does Sydney want me kicked off? Because I don't like Buc-ee's?
I mean, that's a pretty serious offense, Bill.
That's a fireable offense.
That's the hottest take of the episode so far.
Now,
So
Sydney,
Bill
if
thinks
you watch
Buc-ee's
any of the
overrated.
if you watch any of the true crime shows, nothing good happens in a QT. Nothing good happens in a QT. And they got really good video. So if you're doing some crime, don't go in a QT because they got good video.
Somebody's got to clip that. Clip it. Clip it. I love it. That's words to live by. All right. Next hot take, Seth Shaner. Red's Twitter can be a toxic place.
No shit.
That ain't a hot take, Seth.
So,
The most toxic of places.
oh man.
Red's Twitter is.
We got to fire
Simon-
Brian's kicked. Brian's kicked.
All right, Josh Becker's got a few Miller Lite tall boys. A game like this will lead you to drinking Miller Lite. Nobody's perfect, Josh. You should probably choose a better beer. That's a joke. I'm drinking some nameless seltzer, so I have no leg to stand on.
You better be careful, Nate.
I'm sorry, Josh.
You'll be scrapping with my wife. That's her beer.
I did not mean that. Nothing wrong with Miller Lite. I just I've had a few and I'm feeling flagrant. All right, Brian says Sydney's quick trip wins it. Buc-ee's is trash, and Rudy's is a Texas treasure. Let's go.
No.
Now
I'm
we're
jealous.
having fun.
The main things I'm jealous of you having in Texas are obviously Buc-ee's because I have to drive
Freedom?
2 hours to mine. Joe T. Garcia's, which I know I've texted you about many of times.
Open carry.
I think they are, but it's cash. It's one of those Mexican restaurants that's cash only. So
Ooh.
you're getting the good stuff.
The Tex-Mex down here has been so much better than I expected it to be incredible. And it's been so, and I'm in North Texas. It only gets better the further you go down south.
Yeah.
It's
And then, of course,
changed.
My favorite Texas story is I had a buddy of mine that lived in Texas, and he said, you can drive around with your gun on the seat, a beer in your hand, but you better have your seatbelt on.
Makes me think of Walter Matthau on Bad News Bears when the kid's like, "You can't drive with an open container."
Tim, did you have one more favorite thing about Texas before we cut you off?
I did. Oh yeah, the stockyards.
The stockyards are ridiculous.
It's awesome.
That's where all the All-Star Game festivities were, it turns out. I went down there the week prior for the first time, and it's like nothing you've ever seen.
It's
So I live in Dallas, and the Fort Worth Stockyard, their motto is "Don't Dallas our Fort Worth." It's a different world.
I went to Gillies many, many years ago before it was torn down.
Oh,
Is that the
I
girl
know.
from Game of Thrones?
No, that's the Urban Cowboy place bar.
Oh,
Bill likes old wrestling, so he'll appreciate. When I went to Dallas one time, I tried to find the Sportatorium. It's not what
From
it
the
is.
Von Erichs.
Yeah, it's not what we remember it as.
I'm not gonna lie. This is exactly what I wanted this episode to be.
It's degenerated into degeneration.
Yeah, I love it. All right, next question or next hot take from Rex Scott. The Reds will secure one of the wild card spots in the NL, and their performance this month will be the big reason why. So the motivation for this was because when I originally scheduled the Patreon post to go out, I was like, the Reds' play has been lackluster. We're probably out of it already once again in early August. Let's unload by having adult beverages and making hot takes. Rex is going for the direction. He says the Reds are still going to make the playoffs, and they're going to play so well in the month of August that they do it. Rex, I love it. You're insane.
Good vibes only, Rex. You're the man.
Yeah.
I would have supported this hot take a little more if it wasn't for the fact that we're getting slaughtered 8-0
Right.
at the top of the fourth right now.
Why are they unable to? Their whole record this year against good teams versus bad teams, and even if you took the Brewers out of that record, their record against teams above 500 would be incredible. Why can't I? Is there any explanation for why they play better against good teams and then they stink against bad teams?
Well, they stink against bad teams and also the Brewers, which is tough.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean,
Unless those bad teams are the Rockies and Marlins, they're fine against them.
That's what's weird. If you take out their records against the Rockies, Marlins, and White Sox, the run differential thing is completely different.
Yeah.
The records against good and bad teams is completely different. I don't know. I think this is just an average team. They're a slightly below average team, and baseball has a way of showing you who you really are over the course of 162. And unfortunately, with the injuries we've had and the lack of moves that the front office made, here we are. We're a team that ends the season 5 to 7 games below 500 and loses emphatically to well-run teams like the Brewers, who are in a similar size market. And, we waste another season of arguably the best shortstop and pitcher in the National League. It's no fun.
No fun at all.
And it's why we drink. My wife listens to a podcast called This Is Why We Drink. And I told her once, I said, if that was the name of this podcast, we'd have very different reasons.
Well, they're 4-3 in August, getting ready to be 4-4. So if they're going to win it based on August, they better hurry up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if it does, Rex will be there to let us know he was on it from
because he was the man.
All right, next one, back to Joey Gaditza, who wants the ashtray that I think Bill promised him.
No, I never promised him. I did not, and it's gone. I got rid of it. I had a whole box of stuff, and I had a whole box of stuff I was trying to get rid of, and I finally got somebody to take it. And I wasn't going to piecemeal it out.
Joey, your distance across the border in Canada was too much. All right, Joey
the DEA
says
wouldn't let me send it to Canada. So.
This actually might be legit. He said, this isn't the last time we hear Phil threaten to move the team. Something will piss him off and he'll spout off again. And then Andrew Williams added on, I think you're right. For the next one, I think he'll have a full-blown Dennis Reynolds outburst and call himself a golden god. I love this. Always Tony. It's my favorite show. Oh, I can just see Phil Kessler. My rage is untethered and no bounds. I'm untethered. It doesn't matter.
I think of him more as the trash man.
The trash man?
Yeah.
Well, Danny DeVito?
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
So
every time
episode of Always Sunny, where they turned to do a wrestling event for charity, Bill, you would appreciate this.
Okay.
Roddy Piper's on the episode, to put in context. And they're coming up with their gimmicks, and Danny DeVito walks out in a singlet. He's like, I'm the trash man. I throw trash in the ring. It's like his whole thing.
And just eats trash and hits people with garbage cans. It was hilarious. I love it. I can definitely see Phil opening his mouth. Well, anytime he opens his mouth, he's at risk of saying something stupid. But not the last time he threatens to move the team. I don't see him doing that during the Ellie era.
I've never heard them say anything about moving the team.
Not specifically, but his "where you gonna go" comment was sort of saying like,
and
Well, he doubled down on it. I think was the worst part.
yeah. Was it Brandon
Seiho?
Brandon Seiho? That picture of him just like looking into the camera like, do you believe this? Was incredible. Pat Bagush, what's Chad been up to? Well, he was here last episode. So appreciate him for that. Chad's career has taken some interesting turns, all in the positive, but it has made him quite unavailable on Thursday evenings. He's kind of rocking a 24/7 on-call situation. Just being important, doing important Chad things.
He hired me to work with him. I was all excited, and
That's actually what happened. He brought Tim on and realized the error of his ways.
Yeah.
there goes the neighborhood.
Hiding. He's in hiding.
It was like, oh shit, this kid. God.
Sydney, I agree. I also miss Chad. He's my brother, and you guys hear from him once a week more than I do.
I don't miss him.
Well, you have more of him than anybody, but
I've known him longer.
He's in Japan for 2 weeks. It's like
yeah, he did also go to Japan and South Korea for 2 weeks. So,
And I was texting him. I was texting him about his take on Japanese and Korean baseball. And
he answered your text? Whoa.
I would hate that shit. I'd be going, sit down and watch the game.
here's my hot take. Then there's nothing wrong with the wave.
Nope, you're wrong.
You're absolutely wrong.
Why do you all hate people having fun? Why are you against people enjoying themselves?
What is fun about? That's not fun.
I'm not saying you have to do it, but you shouldn't disparage the
You're
other
blocking
people
me.
that have
When
it set.
you're waving in front of me.
When it's the fourth inning and it's 2-1, and you're like, let's start the wave. You look like an idiot. You look like an idiot.
You know who is not a massive baseball fan? My wife. You know what she gets a kick out of when she goes to games with me? The wave. It's not for you, Tim. It's not for you, Bill. And it's not for
but
me.
it is.
It's for the people that are accompanying their loved ones because they are good partners
Nope.
and want to show
Sorry.
support. The wave's fine. The wave's fine.
Nope.
No, it's not. It's not. The wave is dumb.
Well, just
the woo is dumb.
ignore it. If you don't like it, just ignore it. Keep watching the
Then
game.
don't
Why
stand
is
up in front of me.
Yeah, how can you ignore it when there's 40,000 people doing it? Actually, 40,000 people don't go to Reds games. What am I saying? How can you ignore it when there's 12,000
First
people
off,
doing it?
when you're standing in the Budweiser deck, there's nobody in front of you.
Yeah.
The world's your oyster. Terrible. Terrible. The wave is fine. I don't do the wave, but it's
Stop
fine.
it.
Y'all
You're
calm
wrong.
down.
You're
You all
you're
hate
very
fun.
wrong
You're baseball purists that want
I
to do
hate
it for
fun.
everybody.
I hate fun. The one who literally has like went on a rant on me for saying "Wonderful Christmas Time" is a good song says that I hate fun. Okay.
I do hate fun.
Bill does hate fun, and that's a terrible song.
At
That's not
least
about
I
fun
admit
or
it.
not fun. I love Christmas music. I didn't say Christmas music is no fun. I said that song is garbage.
But it's not.
Pat McGooch walks around waving at people. Do you hate him waving at people?
That's fine. That's fine. Because he's not the wacky waving and
Is he
playing.
doing the thing, the John Cena thing?
Yeah,
or-
that's fine. We can go with that.
Sydney
We
did not
can't-
appreciate
We
my
can't do
wave
this
take.
whole thing. Like we're not the art and
The
player in two hands.
incredible waving inflatable arm man. Yeah, well, this is
We
a
can
hot
do
take.
the- We can do
section.
the wave here.
You know
it's
what?
how
That didn't
dumb you
bother
look.
me at all.
It's how dumb people look when they do it. Oh, Jake
Terrible.
Fraley left early with injury. That's wonderful.
I hope you get injured doing
Again.
the wave. Doing your fake wave.
I feel
All right.
bad for Jake Fraley. He's had a terrible year all the way around.
Yeah, it hasn't been fun
My heart
Yeah.
bleeds for his family.
for sure.
Absolutely. All right, Sydney had a very hot take here. Andrew Abbott, Jonathan India, Graham Ashcraft, and Jamer Candelario will not be Reds on opening day 2025. That is next year for those keeping track at home.
I can see it.
Whoa. What would have to happen?
The
For-
Seattle Mariners trade the Cincinnati Reds Julio Rodriguez for Jonathan India, Andrew Abbott, Graham Ashcraft. Yeah,
It'd
that's
have
what
to-
happened.
It would have to be something
Well-
like that.
Yeah.
It would have to be something like that. That's a super hot take, Sydney. I don't see them being bold enough in a million years. We've never seen Crawl trade major league talent for major league talent, but imagine the prospect haul.
Candelario's contract.
Yeah, no
It's gotta be
joke.
a stink. It's gotta be a poop team. It's gotta be a poop team.
Here's a take from Mr. Wallen that's going to be hot in some circles, though not mine. Carson Spears is not a number 5 starter.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's also a fair take. He could
Yeah.
be. He has been very, very solid for the Reds so far outside of today.
We didn't think Williamson was going to pitch as well last year as he did.
That's true. Carson Spire, maybe. We'll see. I'm not super convinced, but I hope I'm wrong.
On Sydney's hot take though, I think Andrew Abbott's here for a while. I would be very surprised to see him be moved.
It would have to be like a big trade product package.
Yeah.
Pat Magooch said he's myrrh. I think he's more frankincense than myrrh. But,
Does he
And there are no wise men here.
mean European
these are
players?
not the 3 wise men.
These
Yeah.
are damn sure not the 3 wise men.
I mean, Nate said the wave's fine, so he's definitely not wise. So
I don't think the wave deserves the hate that it gets.
no, it does. This isn't soccer.
You know who has more fun at their sporting events than soccer fans? No one. You guys need to calm down. You guys just hate fun. All right. Brandon Kamick says condiment hot take.
Ooh.
Ketchup is absolutely garbage on everything. Give me honey mustard for my fries.
Ooh. Okay. I 1,000% agree on ketchup. I'll go the alternative though. I am a buffalo sauce guy on anything and everything.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
See, I'm a ketchup
The
in
chat
its place. I'm a
The
ketchup
chat's
in
going
its
hard in the
place
paint.
guy.
Just ketchup and what?
I'm a ketchup in its place guy. I don't understand the anti-ketchup hot dog Chicago thing because I'm a mustard and ketchup guy on hot dogs and brats and nets.
Can't do it, man.
If I'm
Can't do
going
ketchup.
purist, I'll go mustard only, but give me a little mustard and a little ketchup.
Yeah,
That's a good mix.
I agree.
But now that I'm married to a Puerto Rican, I've learned the ways of the mayo ketchup.
I was gonna say,
A little
you live in
mix.
Texas, you have the Whataburger, you get the spicy ketchup.
That's also delicious. A little mayo mixed with ketchup, delicious. Throw a little yellow. I'm a yellow mustard fan.
I'm with
Yellow
ya.
mustard, mayo,
No, I'm
and
not.
ketchup.
I like brown mustard and horseradish mustard.
Oh yeah, they have that at the ballpark. It's really solid.
I'm anti horseradish. I have tried my best to change that, and I cannot. Brandon, that is a hot take. Ketchup has its place.
No, it doesn't. It's cheeks.
All right, so James Urban has another non-baseball hot take. The Star Wars franchise is overrated. I'd take Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings any day over Star Wars. Okay. I got some opinions here.
We got many.
First, we'll start with the first sentence. Star Wars franchise is overrated. At this point, I agree.
Yeah.
I would not have agreed with you maybe like 5 or 6 years ago.
The original
Most of
three were amazing.
Incredible.
Especially for the time they were made.
Game changing.
Yeah.
Even as a child, when the prequels came out, I was into it.
Yeah, people may dog those movies, but if you don't remember the excitement of the releases of those films, like those were, man, nothing like when you heard
It was
Star
like
Wars come out again.
right before they released those, they re-released the original
Yep.
3 in theaters, and it was so much
It
fun.
was
Like
awesome.
my parents letting me go to midnight showings on a school night, which never happened. I think that you can call the recent attempts at continuing the universe overrated, but what the universe did for cinema and for the fantasy and sci-fi genre cannot be overstated.
That's a great point. They opened up the series. Other than James Bond, there had never been a series of movies
Right.
that and this opened up universes.
Yeah.
Now, James does mention The Lord of the Rings, which is my like comfort food. Weather turns colder, I'm watching Lord of the Rings movies. If I don't know what to put on, it's on in the background. The books were some of the best reads you could ever have. If you've never read the Lord of the Rings books, you don't know who Tom Bombadil is. And let me tell you, you think any single character is interesting in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, wait till you read about Tom Bombadil, who they just left out of the movies. Josh Beckley does bring up a good point I want to throw out real quick, and Hunter Martin. Andor was
solid. Yeah, it's really good.
incredible. It was incredible. It could have been a TV show outside of the universe. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, what were you saying?
I'll have to check that out.
So good.
And I don't know why this is, because I read the books in high school and I've read the Lord of the Rings, and I've read them many times since then. The movies did nothing for me. I was bored to death. I was bored to death watching those movies.
I love them.
And I don't know why, because I love the books, and maybe because I love the books, I couldn't get into the movies, and to a much lesser extent, the Harry Potter was kind of the same way. Even though I think their movies enhance the books closer or something. I don't know why, but I don't feel the same way about the Harry Potter movies and books as I do about the Lord of the Rings movies and books. And I don't know why. I can't explain it.
Could I hop in on this considering I have a Harry Potter tattoo?
This is Bob Castellini, his Denethor.
That's good.
That's my favorite take of the year.
I recently
Tim, please.
I recently did this thing where I like listened to one of the audiobooks, then watched the movie for the Harry Potter, because you can't just watch one Harry Potter movie. You have to like immediately pick up the second one. And it was it was really fun because I read all the books when I was like younger growing up, and then I've watched all the movies every year. I do a marathon every year. But going back listening to the books, then watching the movies again together was like a spiritual experience. It was pretty awesome, man. It was something I would definitely recommend everyone do.
So I married a giant Harry Potter person.
I got it tatted on me, my guy.
Yeah, she grew up in Orlando. Was the right age for it. So whenever I was still courting her, she said, "Listen, you got to read all the Harry Potter books, or you're not serious about me. So we did a thing where I would read a book and then we'd watch a movie. And then
You had a girlfriend with a syllabus.
yeah, pretty much. It will not surprise you that she is a physician now. She came
kidding.
prepared. She came prepared.
I love her. I love this.
I did too.
But it was awesome. I loved it. I will say that more so than Lord of the Rings, I don't think the movies did the books justice. The way they just wrote Ginny Weasley's character in the movies was a crying shame.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ginny Weasley should have been Egret. As my wife actually brought this up the other day. She said Ginny Weasley should have been the same as Egret from Game of Thrones. The sassy, self-sufficient redhead. They did her a disservice. See you, Joey. Oh, Brian, this is good. So Phil is Wormtongue. Phil is Grima Wormtongue. I love it. All right, James, that was a hot take. I think they all have their place in society, but Star Wars has fumbled the bag.
I literally have a lightsaber sitting right next to my desk.
Overexpansion.
Yeah.
And also, here's a hot take. The Han Solo movie was actually awesome.
It was great. Loved it.
Got a bad rap. It was really good.
Donald
All right.
Glover, Lando Calrissian was badass.
He was very good.
The same things that they're saying here, we're talking about here with these movies, you could say about the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, for sure.
And I predicted that long ago. You're going to get to a point in the Marvel Universe where you're going to get the characters that nobody's ever heard of and nobody cares about.
They're definitely still chasing the high of No Way Home. No Way Home was like perfect, and they're still chasing that high.
Yeah, I watched Deadpool Wolverine last night.
I saw it on my boat. Yeah,
It was pretty
awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was
Yeah, I had a
fun.
good time.
It wasn't an incredible piece of cinema, but it was a lot of fun, and I recommend.
You could tell Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds had a lot of fun making that movie.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
All right, a couple more here. Kyle Kapler says the Reds won't make the playoffs while Ellie is here. Holy smokes!
I
So this year
shockingly disagree.
+5. There is. Kyle is not the most optimistic about Reds fandom, and with good reason, I think we would all agree. But that is pretty flagrant. That's pretty tough.
That's some dark shit there.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Sydney also had one that I forgot to put on the document. Said the Reds will win the World Series before the Bengals win the Super Bowl.
No, because the Bengals won the Super Bowl this year, baby.
How about that? If the Bengals don't win it this year, then I agree.
I don't think the window's closing just because we're losing a wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't either.
I agree with that.
I don't either.
Right now, the biggest thing I'm worried about is the defensive line.
All I know is that we have a last. The Bengals have a last place schedule this year, so the window's never been more open.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Look at the teams they get to play compared to the Ravens, and I feel good about that.
I will say that I think the Reds will win a World Series for UC makes another Final Four.
You're such a hater.
Big time.
All right, Joey Ganese
Reds
says
will win a World Series before UC wins a Big 12 football championship.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That isn't a hot take.
Joey Ganese says that there will be another Canadian join the Slack channel sometime soon. I hope that's true. There's some speculation that Joey Votto might join. It is pure speculation. But we'll see. Any Canadians out there listening to this, if you want to join the Slack channel,
We get one on Late Night Reds sometimes. What's his name? David something. And him and Joey interact in the chat. And I'm like, this is the coolest thing that ever happened.
we need more Canucks.
Yeah.
Friends from the North. All right, so maybe this is probably a good one to end on. Sydney threw out maybe the hottest take of all. Skyline is the best fast food chain.
I love me some Skyline.
I mean, she's not
But-
saying the best regional chili chain.
Yeah, she's saying, yeah.
I like me some Skyline too, and I'll eat Skyline. I'll eat Gold Star. I love Cincinnati. I love Camp Washington chili.
Yeah. Dixie.
But to me, the best bang for your buck, fast food, Taco Bell.
Dude.
Ooh.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Bang
gosh,
for
we
your
got some
buck.
fans in the chat too.
Thanks for your
Taco.
talk.
Now I am prejudiced. We have friends that own 11 Taco Bells in our
First
area.
off, I got
That's a-
thoughts.
In fact, the Taco Bell that's close to us is known as the Lax Taco Bell.
Well,
Is it
Nate
because
can't say
it
that
makes
he's
it
got Whataburger.
seem like you took a laxative when you ate it?
No, see, I don't get that. I hear so many people ragging on Taco Bell, and I'm
Taco
a big
Bell is
fan.
fine.
Dude,
Taco Bell's it serves a purpose.
There's a local there, and I'm not saying it's Mexican food. I'm not. No, it's Taco Bell.
Hold on.
Just because it's wrapped in a tortilla doesn't make it Mexican food.
Buddy, when Grace was pregnant with Iris, we probably ate Taco Bell 2 or 3 times a week, like straight up. Like,
But I will tell you, those of you that are not local here, local to Cincinnati, you can get a chili cheese burrito that you can't get many places. It
Right.
is the bomb.
Brian, I just want to pipe in real quick and say I fully support your consumption of Angel's Envy. Such a delicious bourbon.
Oh, and whoever asked, it's Yangling Light.
Oh yeah.
Great story behind Angel's Envy too. I had never heard about it. I was living in China at the time, and one of my business partners came back from the States and brought a bottle of it. And first off, I was like, "That's a dope name. Why is it named that?" They say that the little bit of room in the whiskey cask that evaporates, they call it the Angel Share. So they named the bourbon Angel's Envy because everything that's remaining that the angels wish they had. But the master, I believe, and I could be wrong on this, don't take it to the bank, but Lincoln Henderson, I think his name was, the master distiller at Jack Daniels, I believe, retired. His family got tired of him being at home, wanted him to get back out there and make some more whiskey. And he said, well, if I'm going to get back in the game and leave retirement, I'm only going to do it if I can make some premium stuff. And that's how he and a team came up with Angel's Envy, which is an incredible bourbon.
It is.
Also, free advertisement for Angel's Envy and random seltzer I had.
And Taco Bell's getting a lot of love in the private chat here, too.
Yes, it is.
It really is. It really is. Sydney has a Taco Bell tattoo.
And we used to work at a Taco Bell.
Yeah.
My
Nate,
favorite fast food chain.
Have you been to Torchy's
No.
yet, Nate?
We had a Torchy's in Richmond, and we actually went there 3 nights ago here in Texas because we were in a hurry. And it felt weird going to a Torchy's
Just
in a place
got one
where
in
the
Ohio.
Tex-Mex is incredible. But Torchy's is very solid, and that grande burrito kind of
Mm,
slaps.
yeah, we just got one in Liberty Township. Just got a Torchy's.
We do?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's at Liberty Center,
yeah.
I believe. Yeah, I was just at Ford's Garage over there the other day.
I love
You
Ford's Garage, man. We got one in
Won't be
Florida.
disappointed.
I think
You won't be
it's overrated. I think the food is average. The service there's I don't think the service for people is bad, but I think their system has problems.
Do you think Taco Bell is better than Torchy's? Is that what I'm hearing?
I've never had Torchy's.
Torchy's slaps, man. It's pretty solid.
I love it.
But I would never talk bad about Taco Bell because, like I said, we have dear friends that own 11 of them. And generally, they send me gift cards.
Do they want to sponsor the Riverfront? We're
Yeah,
looking
right?
for sponsors.
All right, fellas. I think it's about time we can wrap
Whoa.
this thing up.
I think we beat this to death.
Tim, you got more?
No.
I said you can. I just need to go take a bathroom break.
I was just going to say, my biggest one is obviously the one I use all the time. The Cincinnati Reds and Chicago Bulls are mirror franchises. They have 1 decade that they live off of their history and think that one franchise will do everything for their eternity.
Yeah, that kind of seems to be the case.
Yeah.
My hot take, the 2025 Reds are going to win the World Series. And they're going to make 0 meaningful acquisitions.
Pat says, let's take this to Sunrise.
Let's go.
We're on different times. Nate's Sunrise is different than mine and Bill's. So
Well,
which
listen.
Sunrise are we talking here?
My wife's working the night shift tonight, but she doesn't go into 11. So maybe I pop off for a couple hours. You guys keep it going, and then I'll come back.
We'll do this in shifts.
I'll come back when she leaves for work.
I got the 2 to 4. Oh, shit.
Yeah. Be up in
We
time
will-
for some track meet in the Olympics. That
We're gonna have to put up a
And
not-
hope
not
nobody,
suitable for
nobody
Bill
drops
in
the
the
baton.
Right.
All right, guys, this was super fun, and I think we may have discovered a new format for the show, which is don't think too much about it. Let's just have a good time.
Yeah.
As always, go Reds. Thank you so much, Tim. Bill, you guys, Tim, start with you. You want to shout out anything before you go?
As always, check us out. Late Night Reds live Sunday nights or on your podcast feed Mondays. Myself and Ben Brown. I think Ben, I'm not saying this to be biased, I think Ben has become probably our best host this year.
Steve Hammer just came in hot. The comments saying,
whoa, Steve. And then if you're,
wow, that was mean.
What's mean?
I won't tell her you said that, Steve. She's an angry Puerto Rican.
Yeah. I think Ben's really kind of become our best asset this year. I think he's been incredible all year. So I have to say, I have to give him some love. And then, of course, if you're a nerd like me and Sean, check out NBA Happy Hour live on Thursday nights in your feed on Fridays, where Nate was kind enough to let me scratch my itch of my addiction to the National Basketball Association. So it's forever appreciated.
I might come on next week if you guys are willing to talk about how 40% of the closing Team USA rotation are Phoenix Suns.
That's true. Durant's starting tomorrow. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, Bill, anything you want to say to the people?
Nah, I've been enjoying the Olympics.
I love Pat McGooch.
That's not a bad hot take there, Pat. Is he still coaching in the organization?
I think so.
He was in like Arizona or something for years. I don't know if he's still out there or not.
I don't know.
I'm continually shocked when I watch the Summer Olympics how bad our boxers are these days. Being a boxing fan, I mean, that used to be something Americans dominated. Now we're lucky with the medal.
Yeah. True that.
Which is crazy. I blame Andre Ward.
I blame Andre Ward for everything.
Being one of my least favorite boxers of all time.
Gas went up. I blame Andre Ward.
3-on-3 basketball is also really stupid. They need to get rid of it.
You know, when I lived overseas,
it's not as bad as breaking.
I had a good friend from Denmark, and they thought 3x3. They called it 3x3 was the greatest thing in the world. They loved it so much, and I never understood it.
I hate it.
Well, the other thing, I watched some of it, and you know why the United States teams kept losing? Because none of them played defense. Yeah. None of them played defense.
Hard to play defense in 3-on-3 half court.
But the European teams did.
That's true.
They played enough defense to win. And anyway.
Yeah, well, you don't sign Jimmer Fredette for his defense. All right, guys, this was awesome. Let's run it back as soon as we can. And yeah, shout out to Adam Dunn, Blue Wire Podcast. Thank you for having us. The shout out to Lisa Alberto for Wayne Krenchicki, for Eli Cash, and you know what? Shouts to Taco Bell. For Tim Daniel and Bill Lack, this is Nate Dotson saying so long, Cincinnati.